a very exciting section for me. Yeah. So that's about grouping data with SQL++. And yeah, I'll start with a typical aggregation based on rows. And you should be familiar already with this one because in SQL this is all over the place. Basically, it starts with group by, yes, having eventually, and then you may use aggregate functions, yeah, like even the basics, sum, average, count, and so on. But but I will continue then with window functions. And once again, what are window functions? Are inline aggregates actually. And you'll be surprised, but Couchbase provided heavy support for window functions. I can tell you, I've rarely seen a relational database system implementing so many standard SQL features regarding window functions. Uh, I'll continue then with aggregating unnested arrays. And yes, here it is, guys. Here it is, the famous unnest or flatten function. There's actually a clause here. Yeah, I'm very familiar with the flatten function from Snowflake that actually does basically the same thing. So, what's about this? This is about taking an array and just splitting up the array, all the elements of an array into separate result entries. Let's call them result entries because in a relational database with JSON support, they are split up into rows. So on separate rows, you get the elements on separate rows. But here, yeah, you get them on separate result entries. And yes, then I will continue with aggregating nested arrays. Yeah, you don't always need when you aggregate data from arrays to split up first to explode the elements into separate result rows. You can do it in place, and yeah, there are specific functions, clauses, and so on, mechanisms in Couchbase, and that you can use. Look, they added a group us clause, yeah, which is interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a bit hard to play with at some point, but that's the goal of our lecture here, to get you familiar with it, how it is, what it does, and how you can use it. And yeah, finally, I will end up with a having clause. Look, I'll talk about more here. I'll talk about filtering, yeah, in grouping queries, yeah, basically, and using where, having, eventually other filtering. Snowflake has another clause called qualify. Unfortunately, Couchbase doesn't have it, and yeah, but what can I say? You can get something similar with city. Okay, enough talking. Let's go.